Early on in these Evidence for God devotionals, numbers 34 to 41 to be exact, we discussed the fine-tuning of the universe. I never tire of listening to the facts about our universe and how unlikely, and in real terms, how completely impossible it is that our universe not only exists from out of nothing, exploding in a place called nowhere, but that it exists in a manner in which life is even possible. But at the core of this discussion is the philosophical theorem known as an argument for God based upon fine-tuning. And it goes like this. Point 1. There are a vast number of physically possible universes. 2. A universe that would be hospitable to the appearance or existence of life must conform to some very strict conditions. Everything from the mass ratios of atomic particles and the number of dimensions of space to the cosmological parameters that rule the expansion of the universe must be just right for stable galaxies, solar systems, planets, and complex life. Number 3, the percentage of possible universes that would support life is infinitesimally small. 4, our universe is one of those infinitesimally improbable universes. We exist. Point 5, our universe has been fine-tuned to support life. Point 6, there is a fine-tuner. Point 7, only God, the Bible, biblical God, could have the power and the purpose to be the fine-tuner. Therefore, point 8, God exists. Now, I've listened to non-theists argue against this theorem, and it's just maddening. What it comes down to is that these people just don't want to believe in God, and they believe that because they can string big words together into sentences and formulate theories using complicated formulas and terminology, that this means they've accomplished something. In other words, a lot of words backed by degrees and titles, with lots of other people with degrees and titles repeating those big words and complicated formulas, somehow results in establishing that theory as science. But they don't actually refute the simple 8-point theorem that I just presented. It's not my theorem, but it's one I find indisputable. And of course, I don't base my belief in God on this or any other theorem, but I do find the theorem of God's existence based upon the argument from a fine-tuned universe to simply ice the cake for me. Creation is not possible apart from an omnipotent, eternal God. Bible prophecy, with its infallible track record of thousands of details being fulfilled in full, without error, could only come from an omniscient God. And then there is the peace of God. It can't come from any method of chanting, any type of medication or drugs, any man-made religion, and not even from pseudo-scientific theorems. It can only come from a God who loved the world and gave his only begotten Son to shed his blood in death on the cross to pay for our sins, and then to raise his Son from the dead bodily and physically, conquering sin and death on our behalf. I believe in God, but only the God of the Bible, and in his dear Son, Jesus Christ. In other words, I believe in the Christian God. And in the words of Philippians 4:7-9, and the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you. That's why we present these devotions, for that purpose.